Greetings! My name is Ev, and today I will be taking a look at this little travel palette from LIGHTWISH. So what we have here is a binder watercolor travel set, as it says on the box. And the main thing that is sort of interesting here is this here, the mention of a ceramic palette for a travel set, which is unusual and new. So I'm really excited to see this. The palette is supposed to have room for 18 colors, and it's a watercolor sketchbook and palette combined kind of deal. It says the paper is 300 GSM, so 130 pound. And we have the size here, which is about 5 by 4 inches, or more precisely 130 millimeters by 110 millimeters. So anyway, let's open this up and let's see what's inside. This is how it is presented, pretty straightforward. All right, so that's everything unwrapped. Seems to be made from synthetic leather, and it has this aged look to it, which I think works well. I really like this color, this green. And then we have a sturdy rubber band here. And what else? We have a place to put our pen or brush. I have yet to open this up. Let's see. Oh, it is a lovely brush. Oh, I like that. It's like a travel brush, but on the pattern of a pencil or a pen. It's not removable, and I guess you can sort of insert it here with a little bit of finagling. There you go. That's really cool. Okay, let's open this up. What do we have here? There's a bunch of stuff. Obviously, this is the palette here. We have it's a plastic board with the binder is attached to this plastic board that you insert in here. You can also free your palette. And then we have another binder here for the paper. There's a cover that's just a gray sheet, and then we have all of our watercolor paper pages. The texture seems to be really quite smooth and nice. You can see a little bit of the texture from the paper press. The back of the paper is even smoother, and I think the texture might be less noticeable, so I'll have to try both sides to see what's up. Then here in the back, I think this is perhaps just a protective sheet, or to let you know that you can keep bits of papers in here. So that's the binder. Now let's take a look at the palette specifically. I really like the design of this little palette, I gotta say. It seems to be like 3D printed, because you have that like texture of a 3D printer, but I really like the design. I like the little tree shapes. Then you open it up. It's held closed with magnets. You have all the wells in there. And then this is our ceramic mixing area. It is really truly quite interesting. As you can see, it is not like completely pristine. There's a few little dots in here, but that might be part of the process of having like a really thin ceramic insert in there. It's fascinating. I'm really excited to try mixing on this to see just how it works out. But yeah, that's the little palette, which is also pretty straightforward. But the main interest of this whole thing is that you have a little travel set that has a ceramic mixing area that you can, set up like this. I'm gonna tinker with it. I'm gonna try it out for sure, and I will come back with my impressions and a lot of thoughts on how this process went. So for you guys, I will be right back in a second, but for me, I'm gonna get back to work. See you in a bit. And I am back with my impressions after using this cute little setup. So this is the set as it is right now. It is fully loaded. We'll take a look at it. All right, so when you open it up, it looks like this. The way I've set it up, so I took one of the sheets and I cut off part of it, and I made my reference swatch card on it so that I can have it open at the same time as I have my palette open, like this. Now, if I want to paint, I would have to put this protective sheet under the palette like this, and here you see like my little test painting. And then the other thing that I set up is at the very end, I put up some spare pieces of paper so that I can swatch my color on the side as I paint. And I've also made a sort of template like this, so that if I'm out and about and I want to have a very quick little framing, I can like trace it like this, and then potentially just put it the other way around and have like my square. Just try to line it up. It's not meant to be excessively precise. It's just so that I have a quick way to do a little frame like this. Alright, so that's my little setup. As you can see, I painted this whole thing with the supplies that you see here, the brush. The only thing that I had extra was a towel and a container with water. I chose to put some Kusakabe paints in here. I was looking at my sets of paints and I didn't want to make it extra complicated, so I just grabbed that set, put it in. I only put a little bit of each color to test it out, and that's it. Now, for my impressions while using this stuff. I will start with the little palette. I really quite like it. In my opinion, there's a few things of note here. I quite like the fact that you have this 3D printed texture to everything. It's a bit odd, but I think it helps keeping your paint attached to the well, so I think that's a good thing. I really quite like the ceramic surface of the mixing area. As you can see, it worked out quite well. It's a very easy system, very simple, just close it up like this, so I really like that. The paper, I will take a closer look at the paper a bit later, but the paper worked out well for my sketch, and I really love all these pieces of material that I can put stuff under. I guess you could probably put your palette on the other side as well, so it would be a bit like this. I'm not sure if that's the best way to set it up, but it would work. So in terms of setting this up, if you are left-handed, you might be able to set it up this way. I'm right-handed, so I don't know what would work out best, but this is an option. And then also, this is my original setup, so I wonder if you're left-handed, if you can just sort of flip it like this. It's basically the same. The only thing is that you have the loop in the way. But if you're using the brush, then that's not really an issue. Let me know, if you're left-handed, which setup do you think would be easier to use? Also, I know that not everyone will have their paints on that side if they are right-handed. Some people would prefer to have their paints on the right side, so it's like a direct way to the painting, but for some odd reason I've always had my paints on the left-hand side, so force of habit. As a little extra, I wanted to show this configuration as well. As I was editing, it dawned on me that you could also set up the palette this way by keeping the binders in their respective locations, but switching out what you attach to them. So the binder that had the paint now has the paper, and the other way around for the paints. So if you prefer to have your paints on the right-hand side, that's a way you can set it up really efficiently, I feel like, and I wanted to share it with you guys. Now, about the brush, I really quite like the brush. It seems to be natural hair, and it is quite soft when it's wet. The only little issue I've encountered with the brush is that it is shedding hairs. So you have a few in the palette, you have a few in the paints. I think I managed to keep them away from my painting itself, but yeah, the brush is still shedding a few hairs. I don't know if it's gonna stop or if it will keep shedding, but aside from that, I really quite like it. I think it's a fun idea to have it set up like a pen with a, a cap. And it's a really serviceable brush. I was able to do everything here with it except for the inking, but like I was able to use the point for finer details and paint the larger areas easily. It's a bit softer, so the point doesn't keep all that much, but at the same time I really like brushes like that for dry brushing. So there's a way to impart a lot of texture on your painting using a brush like this. Now the paper. So this piece of paper is basically one of the sheets from the little book that I cut in half, flipped and taped together. So one part of this sheet is sort of the front of the paper and the other part is the back of the paper. Up close, you can see a difference between these two surfaces. At a distance, I think you can see it mostly in the ultramarine blue color. One side has a really fine texture, it would be the side at the bottom, and the other side is smoother, so that's the side at the top. I think this smoother is sort of the back of the paper. If you look at my little painting, I did it on the more textured side. I feel like the textured side disperses the paint better. The smoother sides, you can see some kind of blotchiness on it. I don't know if it's a combination of the paints I use and the paper, but I quite like the faint texture of the paper on its front side, on its main side. It's a little bit mechanical if you look at it really close, but I don't think it's too visible if you look at anything painted at a regular distance away. I will do a few tests on a similar sheet, half and half, with other paints, and I will include my results here. This little paper is set up in the same way that I did the other swatches with the paints that I put in the palette, but these are other brands. The first one is a Winsor & Newton professional paint, the second one is a Core professional paint, and the third one is a Rosa Gallery professional paint. And you can see that I get some sort of different results from these. I still do feel like the smooth part of the paper makes for a little bit more blood splotchiness, but I don't think it's unsalvageable just from these swatches. Of course, I would have to do a full painting on the back side of the paper to see, but I feel like the paints are a little bit less blotchy when it's this brand rather than the Kusakabe paints that I put in the palette. I really like this kind of setup for the whole thing. I think the binder idea is really interesting in a sense that you can easily move pages around, you can remove pages, you can switch them out for your own paper. The only sort of downside of a binder system like this is you need to be able to punch holes in your pieces of paper. And of course, you can always use one of the sheets as a reference to know where to punch the holes, but there's a part of me that would really like a super slim hole punch bundled with this kind of binder so that I can keep it at home when I prepare new sheets, and I know they will fit perfectly in there and the pages will all be lined up, you know. It's a nitpick, but yeah. All in all, I really like how versatile this kind of setup is because you can move the palette to any place you want, you can put it to the other side, you could take it out completely and just have it in the binder when you are traveling with your kit, you know. You could switch out the sheets, you can keep a little template like I do, and I feel like to paint on the go, it's really interesting. If you paint on one sheet and you need to let it dry, you can just remove it, put it to the side, put something heavy on it so it doesn't fly away, and continue painting on a different sheet. Like, that's a really cool aspect of this kind of setup. I find it really interesting that we see more and more 3D printed items available, like this little palette. I quite like the design, I really like the color. The little trees make me happy, and I feel like it gives you great tools to be able to customize a setup to what you want it to be. Like I've shown you, I've added my swatches here, I've added my little test pages to the side here, and I'd made them so that I can, like when it's dry and I'm starting a new painting, I can just flip them around and use the other side. Like, if you're someone who likes to fine-tune your setup, this gives you a lot of opportunity for it. The loop for the brush, it's okay. It's not a feature that I use a lot, but I imagine that if you need to pack up your things quickly, it's really easy to take your wet brush. I won't do it because mine is dry and I don't want to bend any hair, but you pop the cap back on, you slide it in there quickly, you fold it back up, and you can go take shelter if there's a storm coming or something. So I feel like for outdoor painting, this is really convenient. Everything is attached together as well, so if it falls down, because that's something that can happen, well, all your bits are attached in here, so you don't have to look for a particular small item that had fallen to the ground. As for this ceramic surface, I really like it. It really doesn't bead. I just wonder how durable it is, since this is sort of a travel item. I'll be curious to see when these have been used a bit more, what kind of impressions people got from them, and if they managed to travel with them without breaking this ceramic-like surface. The wells, I think, are a decent size. It would be fun to have some sort of pan that fit in there, but at the same time, it would limit the space of the wells a lot. So you trade off a bit more paint for being able to change out paint. So if you're unsure about the color, I guess your best bet would be to put just a little dot of it to try it out. And then if you don't use the color or don't like the color in your travel set, it's really easy to go through it and put a new color instead. When you set up a palette for the first time, never fill any well to the brim. We've all done it, and I don't think anyone has ever had a great experience with that. Be mindful of overfilling your paint wells. The whole palette is held closed with magnets. I don't really have any kind of negative criticism about it. As with any kind of travel palette, you have to be mindful of letting it dry fully at some point. If you have to pack up quickly, you gotta make time for opening it back up in a dry space so that you don't end up with rust on the binder rings or all the hardware of this palette. But yeah, I really quite like this. I think it's fairly nice. It makes for a relatively thick little binder, but considering it has almost everything in it, that's not too bad. So what do you guys think of this little palette, this little setup? I would love to read your thoughts in the comments. If that's something that appeals to you, or if you have any ideas of how to set it up or how to use it, I would really love to hear it. So thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Thank you, Lightwish, for sending me this little palette to review. I really like it. I think it's a lot of fun and very timely for summer vacations. I'll have all the links and the info and all of that about this little palette in the description box, so check that out if you want to see more and learn more about this item. And see ya all in the next video. Until then, take care. Bye bye.